Next on AM 1480 WLEA, the Newsmaker Show. Here's Brian O'Neill.
On this Monday morning, very glad to have with us three doctors. Dr. Ismail Mehr, the head of anesthesiology at St. James, and along with him, Dr. Adam Basler and Dr. Brian Watkins, a couple of surgeons new to the area. And St. James, thank you for joining us.
Good to be here. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks, Brian.
Thanks for having us as always, Brian.
Always good having the staff in from St. James Hospital. Let's go over bios, starting with Dr. Brian Watkins. You're going to be doing general surgery. Give us a little of your background. Tell us how you came here and where you've been.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. I grew up in Seattle, Washington, and did my training in Wisconsin. Went to medical school and graduate school, and then did my residency in Wisconsin. Shortly thereafter, after graduation, I worked for the Mayo Clinic for 3 years, after which I moved to Rochester 13 years ago and have had a busy practice up in Rochester, and saw an opportunity to come down to Hornell and really start developing and continuing the great surgical efforts that Dr. Byron Collins has been providing for Hornell for the last 50 plus years.
Okay, and that was Dr. Brian Watkins for our listeners. And this question could be for Dr. Watkins or Dr. Mehr. Is Dr. Collins staying on with the hospital now?
Yeah, absolutely. Dr. Collins is going to be with us. I think he's a staple of the community.
Yes.
For me, he's a father figure. He helped bring me to Hornell when I completed my residency. I think he's going to be a mentor to both Dr. Watkins and Dr. Basler, as well as a colleague. And I think the addition of the two general surgeons sort of brings us back to where we were 10 years ago when we had Dr. McCormick, Dr. Foreman, and Dr. Collins, because, one general surgeon alone just can't do everything, and Dr. Collins has trucked away for a long time, and we've been recruiting, and finally we have what we need in this community, a new hospital coming forth, new trained surgeons doing some newer techniques, newer procedures, some state-of-the-art stuff, while at the same time working with Dr. Collins, and so nothing's really changing in that sense. You just have more surgeons in town now.
That's great. We're talking this morning with Dr. Ismail Mehr, the head of anesthesiology, and most of you know him. Most of you listening know him. And two new surgeons. We just spoke with Dr. Brian Watkins. Now we're going to switch over to Dr. Adam Basler, a new surgeon here at St. James. Dr. Basler, tell us about yourself.
Sure, thanks, Brian. So I was born in Wisconsin, spent most of my life growing up around the Midwest. I did my medical school in Chicago. Then I went to Michigan State University to complete my surgical training, and then was recruited by the University of Rochester to come out here and help Dr. Watkins in their combination with St. James Hospital to kind of bring a good broad-based general surgery practice with updated modern techniques to Hornell and the people that live here.
Dr. Mehr, with three surgeons, and you say that takes us back to the days when there were three surgeons. Your thoughts, you're an anesthesiologist, so you're no stranger to their work. What can you tell our audience about these two new surgeons here in Hornell?
Well, I think first and foremost, we have people who are interested in being here. Small town medicine is different than big city medicine, and general surgery is different when you're in a big academic center.
Tell us why so.
Well, when you're in a big academic center, everything is so specialized, and you have specialists in every single thing. I think most of the audience listening knows how it is when you go to the big house, as I call it, up there. It takes the time to get through and be seen and get scheduled. Now that we have well-trained general surgeons to support Dr. Collins here in town. One of the common complaints or issues that I've heard as a community member, as a board member here in Hornell has always been from the doctors and the patients that, you know, it's hard to get people in to be seen for certain surgical things because Dr. Collins was, you know, left sort of on his own for a long time. Now we don't have that problem. You know, we have other surgeons in town. There's always going to be a general surgeon in town. Most of the time it's going to be 2 general surgeons around because Dr. Collins is always here, and between Dr. Watkins and Dr. Basler's schedule, someone's going to be in the office, someone's going to be operating. And I think the biggest thing we'll bring to the community is we're bringing some of the newer laparoscopic techniques, some of the newer advanced things, because it's this day and age, every patient Googles and sees what's out there. And I think what's most interesting is we're really positioning ourselves to be ready for that new hospital. You know, you have a $54 million facility going up with state-of-the-art ORs, and I will say this, I was part of the planning committee for the OR. These are going to be the best technically sound ORs in the region, and we need technically sound surgeons to be part of that as we move forward. So I think kudos to St. James and University of Rochester for bringing people in to prepare for that transition.
As far as the transition goes, have you been inside the new hospital yet? Is any of the equipment that you use, the medical equipment that you use, you know, in surgery or any of the other departments?
Well, I mean, the new hospital's still being built.
So no, it's not.
No, but I will say this: we've already, you know, people in the community may not know this, but we're the only hospital for I think 70-mile radius that has 4K technology for our laparoscopic stuff, and I'm sure Dr. Basler and Dr. Watkins could probably talk a bit more about it. But we're already gearing up and bringing in new stuff. In addition to that, we have new surgeons coming in other specialties. We have an ENT surgeon in town now, Dr. Stroll. We have GYN surgery started back up in town for you know, gynecology. We have a new orthopedic surgeon joining us in October. So we're, in terms of expertise and specialists, we're ramping up, and the technology and stuff is coming with it. I know Adam and Brian, you guys might be able to allude to, you know, your wish list of things you've asked for and how's that's working out right now.
Absolutely. You know, I have just recently started in the community. We did our first case over at the hospital this week, and
this is Dr. Basler talking.
Yeah, sorry. So there isn't anything that I have needed or will need that they haven't been able to provide with me. You know, both Dr. Watkins and I come from bigger tertiary and quaternary referral centers that do have all those specialists and all those special things, and I can tell you that they have everything here that you'd need to have a really good, safe, modern practice.
Dr. Watkins.
I would have to echo that. The facility, I've looked at the plans. The facility looks absolutely phenomenal. And it's going to, you know, it'll be a work in progress. Certainly there will be things that we don't have the bandwidth or capability to do early on, but the full breadth of general surgery certainly will be able to accomplish that. And as Dr. Mehr has stated before, you know, it's nice to have more boots on the ground, so to speak. The problem in Hornell is not unique. The rural communities across the nation are struggling to find ways to provide care for the folks in the community, so they don't have to go to the big city and what did you call it?
The big house.
The big house. Yeah, you don't have to go to the big house.
We got a Michigan State guy here.
Yeah.
You know.
There will be certain capabilities that we may not have initially, but certainly we'll have the ability to provide patients with the care, with things that they may need prior to going up to the big house. If it's one trip instead of 3 or 4 trips, there's a lot of stuff that we'll be able to provide to provide down here, and I can't stress enough that I admire what Dr. Collins has done for the last 50 plus years here. But reality is that in this day and age, that's a tough model to continue, to have somebody who's on, available 24/7, and providing the community with more folks to provide that care will keep them in the communities that they want to be in, and have the loved one and support network, so that they're not going to the big house with any frequency.
You know, you talk about Dr. Collins and the huge workload that he's taken on in the last few years, let alone before that. A friend of mine told me that she was in Dr. Collins' office, and this would have been a few years ago, and her son was 10 at the time, and the office, as you all know, is always packed, and this little this woman's 10-year-old boy was sitting there, and two senior citizens came out. And they were leaving the office. They just finished their appointment, and this woman's 10-year-old son looked at them and said, "You know, they were my age when we got here."
Yeah. I mean, Dr. Collins has been a trooper, and he's held us together. I mean, we all know a few years ago we weren't sure if we were going to have a hospital, and a lot of us doctors stayed in town, and Dr. Collins took a lead on that about saving our hospital. And here we are today. I think this is a fruit of this community, of Mayor Hogan at that time, for fighting for us to have a hospital. And, I'll be honest, I heard at times in the community, it's like, we're going to build it. Well, what are we going to have? Are we going to have the doctors or not? I'll be honest, I'm a hometown boy. I hear it. Well, here's the proof. We've got new surgeons here in town. We've heard you loud and clear, and we're bringing in people and newer things. So it's going to be exciting times.
You know, I'm guessing, and we're talking this morning, for those of you just joining us, with St. James Doctors. Dr. Ismail Mehr, the head of anesthesiology, and two new doctors for St. James in the surgical department, Dr. Brian Watkins and Dr. Adam Basler. And throwing this question out to any of you, and I'm an outsider to the medical world, but just guessing that the ER must be glad that the OR is getting bigger. The emergency room doctors are probably a little bit relieved to see an expanding OR, as is, I'm sure, Dr. Collins with the workload.
Adam?
Yeah, well, absolutely.
Not that all emergency room patients end up in surgery, but with your accidents, it's bound to happen sometimes.
It's always nice when you have those ancillary capabilities in-house right here. You call us and we're there to help you out. And one of the big important things that Dr. Watkins and I are trying to build is this is a team. This isn't just, Dr. Watkins and Dr. Basler and Dr. Mehr. We all work together. We're a united group down here for St. James, along with our wonderful ER staff. It just gives them a lot more capabilities to keep things home. You don't have to call up the University of Rochester or Syracuse or wherever you might be sending your patients off to. Because we can deal with that here. We can handle you and take care of the patients at home, where, as Dr. Watkins put it, your family is here. You don't want to be an hour and a half away when we can take good care of you right here.
We're talking with, that was Dr. Adam Basler. We're talking with Dr. Adam Basler, Dr. Brian Watkins, and Dr. Ismail Mehr. Going to take a quick break, then check the forecast. We'll be back here on this Monday Newsmaker.
Going on now at Decorator's Choice is the big summer clearance mattress sale. They brought in a new lineup of Restonic mattresses, including the Scott Living Collection. Queen set starting at $349. Summer is coming to an end. Find comfort in knowing that your college student will be getting a great night's sleep on a new mattress, and you saved money to go towards those expensive books. Don't miss out on the big summer clearance mattress sale. Special financing and delivery available. Like them on Facebook and visit their website at deckchoice.com. Decorator's Choice, 37 Seneca Street, Hornell.
Checking in with meteorologist Rob Carroll. When he first called, I thought, is it raining outside? No, that's just the air conditioner making noise. I pulled up the blinds. It's cloudy, but it's not raining, Rob.
No, it's just some low cloudiness which has developed through the nighttime hours, Brian. Now that we're transitioning from, say, late summer weather towards the early portion of fall, I hate to bring that up, but yeah, it's around the corner. It's a little bit easier this time of year to start to develop the low cloudiness overnight. What happens is the air temperature and the dew point temperature get close together. We get some condensation that causes the low stuff to develop. It extends almost all the way up to Rochester and Buffalo and then down across Pennsylvania. We'll look for it, though, to burn off as the day goes on. It should turn into a fairly sunny day. High pressures over northern New England. Temperatures today up to about 75 to 80. Sun up this morning was at 6:24. It'll set tonight at 8:03. We've just got a couple of days left with a sunset at 8 o'clock or later. Tonight, it's going to turn partly cloudy. We're 60 to 65. We've We've got a cold front headed our way for tomorrow. That's going to lead to showers and thunderstorms. It'll be 70 to 75. Showers taper off late tomorrow night, 60 to 65. We'll have lots of leftover clouds Wednesday, maybe a shower. It's cool, 70. Then look for sunshine to develop for Thursday and Friday. It'll turn a little bit warmer.
And on this Monday Newsmaker, we're in the studio with Dr. Ismail Mehr, the head of anesthesiology at St. James, along with Dr. Adam Basler and Dr. Brian Watkins, two new surgeons at St. James Hospital. Throwing this question out to any of you, Dr. Watkins talked a little bit about this in the break, so maybe he'd be interested in talking about the future of general surgery and what general surgery is going to involve at the St. James facility, both the old facility or the current facility, and then the new one when we get there.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. Well, I think at the facility, the current facility and the new facility, I think we're going to build the same type program, and we're a few months off getting there. So hopefully it'll just we'll build and then continue to build once we get there. As I kind of alluded to before, rural surgery across the nation is struggling. The surgeons are retiring at a faster rate than there are new hires, and as Dr. Mehr stated in the past or earlier, it's very difficult to attract people to these areas, primarily because they don't want to be on call every single day, as Dr. Collins has done for many, many years. And there's a sense of isolation and many more things that come into play. What we're trying to build, and as the chief of the Division of Rural Surgery at the University of Rochester, we're trying to build a robust general surgical program in Hornell, and hopefully that's going to continue out into the other regions as well. And general surgery kind of is a hodgepodge, and there are certain general surgeons who do certain things. We're hoping to provide a broad spectrum general surgical practice. Now, again, we're not able or capable of doing everything, but just for example, certainly there's a lot of endoscopy, and in rural communities, the general surgeons are those that do a fair amount of endoscopy, such as colonoscopy and upper endoscopy. We're trying to, at least for me, I'm trying to bring back those surgical procedures that keep the ORs busy and keep patients in their communities. Things stemming from hernia surgery to gallbladder surgery to colon surgery, and with new techniques such as laparoscopy and such. General surgery is a broad category, and there will be things, as I mentioned, that we're unable to do, but we're going to build a program where we could be the throughput. We're going to be contact. Physicians in the community will have our cell numbers, and they can call us, and we can discuss patients and determine whether or not it's something that we can take care of. I think there's going to be very few things that we're unable to do so with the manpower and such that we have at this point. But our goal is to continue to grow this, and not only grow it here, but grow it region-wide.
As far as new technology go, people who go into hospitals for medical care, whether it's the ER or a surgical procedure, I think, I've heard different people say that they're amazed at how quickly the doctors can get test results back, like say if the test results were sent to Rochester or just the lab across town. Or another doctor's office, the whole idea of a computerized network neighborhood between the different hospitals and the different doctors' offices.
Right.
I imagine technology, and that's just the tip of the iceberg, I'm guessing.
Right, and maybe some may or may not know, I'm on the hospital board, so that was discussed just recently in a board meeting, is that whole plan that regionally everything will be electronic. We're not there yet because it takes time and some infrastructure, but by the time we're in the new facility, we're going to be electronic. So Dr. Basler has a patient who comes in who, has a colon cancer and needs surgery here, but they had open heart surgery for something in Rochester, well, you can get right on the computer and know exactly what took place and if it's safe to proceed to do what we need to do here. And at the same time, this patient's being referred by Dr. Nassar. He can get in the computer and see that Dr. Basler saw him, and this is Dr. Basler's recommendation. So we're upgrading. I mean, we're going to be state of the art, and I've mentioned that a few times, but it's here. We're some people have said, and Dr. Watkins alluded to, that rural medicine has been forgotten, so to speak, and we've been a victim of that, but we're no longer forgotten. I think we're going to be the example and leader regionally, not for just the Western New York, but I'm talking the Northeast for rural medicine. We're cutting edge and going to be there soon. That we're the leader. Where small hospitals in Pennsylvania are going to say, what did they do in Hornell? Because that's, I think, the future is regionalizing between local hospitals and sharing things and working together.
I think it was Sean Hogan who told us on the air once that in certain southern states, in similar sized towns, hospitals are being shut down a lot more than we see around here.
You know the stats you were talking about.
That's kind of
and Dr. Brian Watkins.
Kind of my role at the university. You're exactly right. In fact, since 2011, over roughly 90 hospitals, just like Hornell, all across the nation have completely closed down. There has never been an era in medicine where this has happened up until recently. In fact, it's such a problem that around that time, 2012, the American College of Surgeons created an advisory committee in rural surgery. It is the first new advisory committee in the American College in 50 years. So it's known that this is a problem. And there are efforts around the nation to fix the problem, to deal with the problem.
Wouldn't you say we're ahead of the problem?
I would say that this is going, as Dr. Mehr said, this will be the example of how the problem is rectified. I firmly believe that, and with being collegial and regionalized, my ultimate goal, long term, making a very complex problem more simple than it is. I think number one, in order to get surgeons in these communities, you have to train them, and with Dr. Basler and the other surgeons and the other physicians in this regionalized network, I truly believe that we'll have the ability to start having a training program in various medical fields over the next few years.
That sounds great. That was Dr. Brian Watkins. We've been talking this morning on this Monday Newsmaker with Dr. Brian Watkins, Dr. Adam Basler, and Dr. Ismail Mehr. Was there anything I did not ask that anybody wanted to bring up?
I would say, because these guys are being bashful here, is if you need to get in to see a surgeon. Obviously, I think everyone knows Dr. Collins' number in town. Dr. Collins is still open for business, and also to get in to see Dr. Watkins or Dr. Basler, you can just pick up the phone and call 324-8000, and just ask the switchboard to connect you to the general surgery clinic, and you'll get in there. And the other thing I would say is when you're seeing your primary care doctors, and you have a hernia, gallbladder issue, and sometimes there have been certain primary care doctors in town who just weren't sure what we can do anymore in town. And they say, well, I think I could get you up to Rochester or to Corning. Take a step back and say, hey, I heard this on the radio. We got 2 new surgeons in town. Why can't you get me over there and we can take care of you in Hornell? Because I can tell you, anesthetically here in Hornell, we can take care of you. Surgically, we can take care of you. And everyone knows Dr. Randhawa. You can be taken care of while you're in the hospital, too. And if you can't, we'll always do what's best for you and tell you we can't.
Very encouraging words, and a couple of. I mean, you mentioned some of the surgical procedures. I'm sure that tonsils, appendix, the list goes on.
Yeah, the list goes on. I know Dr. Watkins and both Dr. Mehr brought up, we do a lot of things minimally invasive that just really hadn't been done in this community before. So a lot of hernia repair, a lot of colorectal surgery, things that we didn't really talk about is we do a lot of endocrine surgery as well. So if you have thyroid or parathyroid issues, those are also things we manage, as well as skin and soft tissue issues. If you have, cysts and tumors and things that need to be excised. And the great thing is we do a lot of that in our office. We don't need to get you admitted to a hospital to take care of some of that stuff.
Chemotherapy access, we used to do a lot of porta-cats and people who've had cancer before, so we're going to be back to being able to doing that. And I think for those who minimally invasive means you don't need to have an incision from your belly button up to your heart any longer. We can have a few small incisions, and these guys can take care of a lot of the big stuff with small incisions.
Well, Dr. Ismail Mehr, Dr. Adam Basler, and Dr. Brian Watkins, all from St. James, I want to thank you very much for coming in today.
Thank you, Brian.
Thanks for having us, Brian.
Brian, thank you very much.
It's AM 1480 WLEA Hornell.